last week we talked about the trackball versus the mouse, and I was kind of shocked that there's this trackball fan base that exists. I knew that there was people. I knew that if you were a trackball guy, you were like, you were ready to defend. You were ready to die on that hill, right? But I didn't think there was many people on the hill.
I'm just alone on the hill with my trackball.
I actually like the very next day, I got a comment, one from a mutual friend of ours, Graham, who's watching the show right now. I'm sure he watches like every episode. He talked about how he loved his trackball. And then
we talked about it in excess.
Discord this week has been comments about how much they love their trackballs. What is with all these Linux maniacs using trackball mice out there? Do we can't just be the people that use Linux over Windows. We've got to be a little bit more obtuse by also using a tile managing desktop, a terminal based music player, a trackball mouse on top of it all. I mean, my goodness, the trackball love is
we're
out
a weird
there.
Bunch. But it's good kind of weird.
Hello and welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, the podcast at the intersection of Linux and gaming. This is episode 42. This episode is pre-recorded and will be released on YouTube and iTunes and other podcast apps. Please like, subscribe, and comment however you prefer to enjoy the show. You can send us an email at crowbarkernelpanic@pm.me. You can join us on Discord. I have a link to the Discord in the show notes. Apparently, it's full of trackball users. So if you're not a trackball user, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to make a section. We're going to make two different sections.
Trackball users.
Yeah. Trackball.
That's a great idea.
Regular people. Right. Yeah. And you can chat in your appropriate section.
And be careful. I'm the moderator. If you're not using a trackball, you might get booted. No.
Yeah, we have a way to know. We have a Discord add-on. We can tell.
I can see the accuracy of your mouse.
Yeah, we can see the clicks per minute and the accuracy. We know if you're using a trackball.
But really, we don't. Please don't believe that. None of that was true. We just lost all of our Linux users. What do you mean they're tracking us?
Dude, another funny thing from last episode, we talked about, I talked about how I was excited for Palea, the carrot farming game. And I also talked about Baldur's Gate 3. And I can't remember what other games. Well, since then, I'll tell you, this is how my gaming week has gone. Another guy at work was asking me had I played Baldur's Gate 3, and I said, have I played Baldur's Gate 3? I've had it since it was in alpha, and I've had it since it was in alpha. I bought it when it was in pre-release. I've owned it for for almost 2 years now, and I've already played through the first chapter, and then I'm a Baldur's Gate pro over here. But I can't play tonight. I'm too busy farming carrots and Palea online.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm farming carrots tonight. Oh, you got a garden? Yeah, my virtual one.
Yeah. No, and Palea, honestly, my current review of Palea is that I'm rooting for it because, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but they're obviously an underdog indie development company. But that definitely shows in playing the game. Now they're very upfront, and they've had issues with the game and with the servers, and they post about it. They say, hey, there was one issue that they were like, we're going to try to fix this. And then they went live with the fix, and it was making things worse. It didn't work out, and they just came back and they said, "Hey, we're just going to back that change out." So like they're really upfront, and that's a really cool thing. But since it's gone live, I don't know. I logged in. I took a screenshot of it. I logged in last night because I said, well, I hadn't checked on the game in a little while, and I want to be able to talk about it tomorrow if we do a podcast. So I'll log in and see what's going on. and I was underneath the world, like I could see, like I was, and I don't even know what. That's just how I logged into the game, and I was like, they're gonna think I'm cheating or something. I'm stealing other people's carrots here.
Yeah, you're going under the ground and pulling them down like freaking. There was a show. There was an old cartoon that the guy would pull the carrots. From under the ground.
Yeah, it's like how in World of Warcraft people used to do that, where they'd get underneath the ground. And then they would use it to cheat PvP. I'm out here stealing I'm stealing cabbages and potatoes and everything out from underneath everybody's little camp.
Oh man,
so I don't know. Good. It's an interesting concept. I hope it does well. I don't think I'm going to continue playing it though. I don't know that it's for me. But I
haven't even started yet. My gaming life is 0 at the moment with everything.
I think I should be playing Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's the most reasonable thing that I should be playing.
I think from what you've talked about it, you enjoy that one the most.
Oh yeah, I like it. I guess because I got it in early access, it's not new to me. Like everybody's like excited about it right now, but I've already been playing it for a year, you know? And it's a great game. And I logged in and made a new character, and I did see what changes they made at the beginning. And there is a lot of change. It does. It's a brand. I mean, I don't want to say it's a brand new game, but it's a lot of new.
Feel different?
Yeah, I mean, the environment is the same. I've only played till you get like to the
what I mean
area.
Is, like, does it feel finished now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So like, just to give like an example, like one. So in a very minor change, the like loading, like whenever you first load the game, that screen's different.
Okay.
And then whenever you log in and make your character, that process was different. I mean, it was essentially the same, but there was some differences. And then whenever there's a part where you have to make, in the new version of the game, they call it your guardian. But in the original version, it was like your love or something. Like it was almost like you were making like your romantic interest or something like that. And you don't know how it's going to play into the story, later on. But so they changed that slightly, and I like the change. I like the new version better. And then actually on the Mind Flare ship at the beginning of the game, there's more items that you can interact with. And some of them are really neat. So I mean, it's slight differences, but it looks essentially the same. And and there's a lot of stuff that whenever I originally played it in early access that was unfinished on the Mind Flare ship, and all of that is now finished. And obviously they couldn't release the game with it,
right?
And the condition it was in early access was pretty bad. So
I did watch some videos when it first came out, or was in early access. It was pretty rough.
There's like scenes where it's like, you got this like epic like landscape, and the ship is like falling down. There's flames passing by, and then it flashes over to this like PS1 graphics Mind Flare. His tentacles are just sticking straight out. Yeah. They fixed all of that, so it all looks good now. So we got some news this episode, and then we're going to go into discussing our Proxmox setups. I finally have a Proxmox setup. I've been talking about it for 2 or 3 episodes now. It's very basic, and I can't turn it on. I can't turn it on right now, but I'll tell you what, you'll have to wait till we get to that part of the show to find out why. I know that it works.
Okay.
I installed Proxmox. Can't turn it on.
Okay. Got it.
Let's see. So the first thing in the news, which is our dramatic topic this episode. We wanted to talk a little bit. We want to talk a little bit about the Gamer Nexus. I guess it is versus Linus Tech Tips, because it's pretty
at this point it is
from Gamer Nexus. But the Gamer Nexus, I said "and" in the show notes because I wasn't quite ready to say versus Linus Tech Tips conflict. I heard about this actually through completely non-tech. Like I don't really watch Linus Tech Tips. Gamer Nexus, I'll watch, like I would be looking up a product and I would watch their video on it. Like I'm not like a regular subscriber or follower of that channel or anything, but I was watching a completely non-tech related podcast, and they were kind of like comically laughing about this drama going on in the tech world. And I was like, oh, I need to go check that out. What's the deal with that? Maybe that'll be interesting to talk about on the podcast. So that's I only know about it from watching these 3 videos that I'm going to reference here. The first video was Gamer Nexus's like call out video where he's giving examples of times where Linus Media Group has made videos where they've been inaccurate. My take on that first video, watching it all the way through, I watched it twice, but my take on the whole thing, the gist of it to me is that Linus Media Group is focusing on making content faster than they can actually keep up with making sure that content is accurate. And probably the most the most damning incident that they bring up in the video is this billet water block situation.
Oh yes, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, and that was another thing too. Is whenever I heard the other podcast talking about this situation, I went to the subreddit and for LTT, and the subreddit was talking about the billet water block thing. So I thought that was all it was until I watched the video and I realized that it was more than just that. But that seems to be kind of the spearhead, like the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if they did, but that video had the potential to put that entire company out of business. Because not only did they misrepresent the facts about the water block because they used the wrong GPU to test it.
Yeah.
But they also did not give their best prototype back to the company to continue on their research.
Yeah.
So that, to me personally, that's inexcusable. That's almost Linus, or not Linus himself, but Linus Media Group, just not caring about anything that has to do with this company because they didn't want to give the water block back. And then on top of that, they auctioned it off. Right. And I'm like, that can't be a breakdown of communication, and it just happened. That's intentional. Like, we don't care, whatever.
Yeah. So I thought about this. I don't think that they did it intentionally, as in, oh, we're going to make money off of this.
No. I don't say that. No.
But I do think that there's like a lack of caring. There's like, whether
they
it's a breakdown in
sold
communication.
Not to make money.
Yeah. Because, if it had been some small creator that auctioned, they probably were just trying to make whatever money they got for it. They don't need this. They don't need whatever money that was.
They didn't get enough to make a difference.
Right, exactly. So I don't believe that was the case, but I do think that it's like they that's how they treat these vendors. That it's just like, oh, they're just they got a shelf full of like 100 things that they've been given and that they've gotten to test, and this just gets tossed in the bin of that, and there's not even like It obviously was easy for them to make that mistake and to mix this up that way. So, I mean, they're obviously not treating it with the respect that it deserves, especially like this small company like this. They put a huge investment in proportion to whatever the gross is for this small company compared to Linus Media Group just tossing on a shelf and mistakenly putting it in an auction.
Yeah, right.
But I guess my point is I do believe it was a mistake. But it's a mistake of negligence. It's not it wasn't like a freak accident. And so that video came out. I feel pretty strongly that I agree with, most of the content in that video. And I think just stepping away from that video, I really feel like that it is the result of just way overworking that staff trying to produce videos as fast as possible. And I think that it's because they've become more of a corporate structure. They've become more of a corporate company. They have, $100 million on the line, the value of this company. And they're just like trying to produce as much material as possible to make more money, which is what a corporation is supposed to do. But they're doing it they're doing this thing where they're like, we're entertainment, but we're also going to be like this, like, cold, hard, like, lab, or we're going to do these strict tests, and you can rely on us for that accountability. And it's like you can't really do both of these things, or you can't do both of these things and extremely fast.
No,
like
right.
You need to stop trying to act like you're a speedboat and you're a cruise ship now. Like you're a major corporation.
Not the Titanic.
You can't be both of those things and not do it successfully. So
right. Yeah, I mean, and it does send it home for me. When they were doing these interviews with the staff of LTT.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They were all saying like, well, we wish we had more time. We wish we had more time. We wish we had more time. I'm not really proud with this video that I put out, blah, 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 so on and so forth.
Yeah. And one guy said, rarely am I proud.
That's what I meant. Rarely. Yeah. He said, rarely is he proud of a video he puts out.
That's so wild, man. That's so wild that they're pushing it out that fast.
And I think, I feel like, I know I talked to you about this the other day, but I feel like their quality is actually the quantity of video that comes out. Like if they can do 30 videos a week or whatever they do, I don't know how many they do, but if they can do that, that is the gold number, and that is what they have to do, and that to them equals quality, not 15 videos that are actually accurate and good.
Yeah, their goal is quantity. Like their goal is to produce as many videos as possible.
Right.
And they're like this huge corporation that is making money off of another huge corporation that they don't control. Because I mean, all their money is basically made off of YouTube, and they don't control YouTube. They don't control the algorithm. If YouTube says that in order for you to be successful in this field, you need to put out 30 videos a week. Otherwise, you're going to get eaten up by Gamer Nexus or whoever the other content creators are.
Yeah, not that they can even touch them.
Right, I know. But like, I'm just saying.
But
like,
you're exampling, yes.
And then tomorrow, Google changes that, and they say, well, now, I don't know what it could be, but like now we only like 2-minute videos, and so now they have to figure out how do they keep the same ranking in YouTube, but only by making 2-minute videos, and somehow keeping that still fair and accurate to these like tests that they're performing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's a really difficult situation for them to be in. And I'm not saying that as a way of saying, they should be forgiven for this. I'm not saying that this gives them an off ramp. I think that you shouldn't run a corporation off the back of some other corporation that you don't control. Like, to me, that's spelling disaster. But anyway, so that video came out, and then apparently this is the part of the story I'm missing, but there was some responses by Linus. I think by Linus directly. And I think this is another part of the problem, and something that they kind of touch on whenever they release the third video, the Linus video, or the Linus Media Group video, is that like, they're this huge corporation. They have a CEO that's not Linus. Linus is like some kind of community organizer. I don't know what he is, but like they're still trying to run the channel as if, this is just Linus and his buds, and they do this in their free time and in his bedroom. Like they try to run it like it's like this, like still like this little 10 YouTube channel. 10 person YouTube channel. And it's a huge, they're Disney now.
They're Disney, for as
an exaggeration, but they're like, there's this huge company, like they can't still be using Linus as like the hip face of this, So there's a gap in there that we don't know what the response was or what came out. But then there's the most recent Gamer Nexus like news updates that they do, like a weekly news thing. They touch on it again. And they talk about how ridiculous the response was, saying that they said, well, we didn't sell the water block, we auctioned it, or stuff like that.
So there was no sale involved. It was literally just given in auction.
Right.
How does that work?
And there's also video. I saw there was video from the WAN show or something where they talk about it. And I know and this might have been in the first Gamer Nexus video, not the second, but there was some comment where, they said, we know that we realized that we had made a mistake by putting the billet water block on the wrong graphics card. But we'd already shot the entire video, and we weren't going to spend something like $500.
And I found it funny when he said that, because I think he intentionally said $500 in people's time, because he wanted to send home the fact that it was $500 plus people's time. Like he wanted to make sure he was like, including the people's time in that.
I kind of got that this response was like, oh, well, because come on, Linus doesn't care about Linus personally doesn't care about $500. No.
He would burn it in right in front of you and just throw it.
Yeah, I mean, on a pragmatic level, he may realize what $500 is because he hasn't always been this guy. But like, he does like he doesn't $500 to go back and correct an entire video. He doesn't care about that. I think he said it and this is just my belief. I think he said it in that moment because he was thinking, how can I make this seem more in touch with regular people?
Exactly.
And the people listening to this podcast would see $500 as like a lot of money they go back and spend as a reshoot. That's how I kind of felt like, and maybe that wasn't his intention, but that's what it felt like hearing that back.
I totally agree with you now that you say that, because that would definitely hit home with people that he's, because he is trying to appease the people who that would be a lot of money to, because he's trying to put these videos out to help people, quote unquote, save money. By making smart,
that's a really good point.
Tech decisions.
That's a really good point.
So yes, I can see him definitely doing that to try to steer it in that direction.
And before we move on to the final video, another thing about that whole like response on the WAN show, was whenever someone, you see this a lot in other communities. Oh, that Star Trek movie is the worst movie ever. That game, I never play that game. This is the worst. That's just whenever someone has like an absolute, such a far fetched, like this is beyond even discussing or reasoning or debating about. It's because they don't want to discuss, reason, or debate it. It's because they don't have the answer, and so they're trying to make it just seem so outlandish as to divert away from it. Because he's like, we didn't go back and reshoot it because even if it had been 20 degrees cooler, it still is not worth. It's a bad product, and nobody should buy it. Like that's literally. I believe that is literally what he said, and
they're very close. Yeah,
to me. That sounds like somebody that just does not want to continue this discussion. And so I'm just going to say my stance is so far that you're not going to move me on it. So we should just stop talking about it. And I feel like that's another reason that like people were upset about this particular situation. So anyway, that brings us to the third video. And this one is Linus Media Group's response back to this whole situation. And the interesting thing about this video, and I will start on a good note. I think it was a good idea to do what they did with starting with the new CEO, go to the product manager, go to the community manager, go to the head of the lab department to show that, hey, this company, this channel, this is not just Linus. Like right now, it looks like it's Gamer Nexus. I'm not even sure that guy's name.
I don't know either.
But it's the guy from Gamer Nexus versus Linus. And, this is just internet drama. And Linus is the bad guy. They did a good job, I thought, by showing that this was not just Linus.
Right.
This is a company. And there's a lot of people that work here. And we're all part of this, output. And not to put the blame on them, but just to show, like, just from a PR standpoint, just to show that, like, this is not just one guy that you can hate. This is a group of people, and we make mistakes. I thought that was the right direction to take the video. But in the messaging of the video, there was a few moments that just kind of struck me as kind of odd. Did you feel this way? Do you know what I mean, or am I way off base here?
No, you're totally you're totally on base, because I don't know. I don't know if it was because of the way they filmed the video or how it was, but it was one of those. So there's several videos like this on Linus's channel or whatever LMG channel. And anytime they do a video like this, I always feel like it's so scripted.
Yes.
And it's just, there's just something off. Like it's very, very like, okay, we got to get this out now. I don't care. And that's like they do all their videos, Right. And we just got to get this out. Yeah. And I don't care what the script sounds like. We're just going.
Yeah.
And there's several videos like that on his channel that they've done this backpedaling kind of situation.
Like, it's not quite as bad as pulling out a ukulele and singing a song about your apology.
No, it's nothing like that. No, but there's just something slightly off.
Yeah.
It's just the piccolo.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it felt like is if you've ever watched, or like whenever you watch an actor. Oh, I'll tell you, I have an IMDb page. Yeah. And I'm in 2 credits on IMDb. And if you watch me in those credits, which one actually is a really good movie. Well, I don't want to say one's really good and one's really bad because I'm friends with both of these people, but let's just say one is more credibility than the other, but I am not the credibility. I look so wooden, and whenever you watch me deliver lines, you can tell I'm just delivering this line. Like I'm not saying it. The character's not saying it. It is Bo McCoy delivering this line. And there was so much of that and that video where it just felt like I just felt like I was watching even the part even the parts where they would try to like there's one part where Linus is talking and then he says, I'm getting emotional again. I need to just stop it there. I totally 100% feel like that was planned. Like they put that in there on purpose. I mean, it just doesn't seem real to me.
And see, I don't know. I agree with you. And I don't know if that's because it's like my mind, my small mind thinking that, this is a big corporation. How could he possibly think like, he cares about
Why would they
like
script
this?
Everybody else so precisely?
Yeah.
To the point that they're literally finishing each other's sentences. And then they let him just have this like free, like he just after he just got in trouble. Well, he didn't admit to getting in trouble, but it seems like he just got in trouble for going off the cuff and representing the entire company. I mean, his name is in the company. It's hard to separate those two things. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Papa John's Pizza, baby. You know, like
yeah. No, you nailed it right there. That is so true. That is so true.
I mean, I don't think Linus has ever said the N-word, but
no, but it is along the same lines with the person who is on the naming
is the identity of the company.
Yes, the identity. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I was joking about the N-word thing. I'm sure there's no.
No, trust me, we know about that. That would be a big thing.
There actually is one funny clip, but it was an innocent clip. The hard R clip. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh man, it's funny. It's innocent.
Oh, wait, on the podcast when they're doing the podcast. Yes. I saw that clip.
That term stands for something else, but his co-host is like, wait a minute. But anyway, so I just thought the response kind of sounded wooden. Although I think if I were an HR person advising the company, I would have told them to do something like this. But I think that maybe they were candid. It's just that if the company that I work for, if they said, we're going to make this candid video, we want to hear your honest opinion about this situation, I would write it ahead of time. So, I mean, even if it wasn't provided to them, they're probably writing and reciting something. Yeah. Even if they wrote it themselves, I don't know. But that is probably giving it the most benefit of the doubt that you could possibly give it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel real.
If you compare that video to the one where they're actually telling you, we need more time for these videos and stuff like that, it's a totally different vibe. 100% different vibe.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like that seemed like genuine. Like I'm slipping this in here. You know what I mean? Like,
Like,
this is how I really feel.
I hope the boss doesn't hear me, but
yeah, you're absolutely right. But the one thing I will say is that I believe all this is true, and even as it being true, I don't think this should like ruin Linus Media Group forever. I don't think that people should stop listening to the WAN show.
I think they can come
back
from this. It's just they have to course correct and
they need
to make things right.
They need to course correct, make things right, and apologize. And I think that's what they did. Even if we were joking about how wooden it felt, and it's a corporate apology, it should be a corporate apology. They are a corporation. I think they need to quit pretending like they're just Linus. Like they are a corporation. That's okay. This was a corporate apology. Probably more than we'd get from any other corporation of this level. And so I'm okay with that. I think the problem up to this point was it felt like Linus was being the face, and Linus was not willing to admit fault. He just kept trying to like blame it on something else. He couldn't possibly be at fault for this. Even the times whenever he did say he was at fault, it was always in some, there was always some sort of gaslighting or backhanded attachment to it.
Yep. I gotcha. I agree.
But I agree with the premise of the video. Linus is not the face. He's the face of the company because his name's in the title, but he's not the only person that works there. And I think they apologized. And they're taking a week off from posting. I hope that they have to come out of this with a slower posting schedule. And
that's what's going to help this.
Right. They either need to commit to being 100% entertainment, and they're sort of like what we do, where we're like, we are reactionary. We look at things and we react to it, versus they are 100, or they can't do this. Like we're 60% entertainment and we're 40% accurate journalistic reporting. And whenever we make a mistake, that falls in the 60%. But whenever we get something right, that falls in the 40%.
And the only way they could even manage that is if they split the company.
Yeah, that's true. Two channels. One is strictly, you know what? They could do that. They could do like a strictly we're just doing testing, we're just doing ratings, we're just doing comparisons. And it's meant to be entertaining as so far as that type of material is entertaining. Right. And then on the second channel, this is where they get to do the WAN show, and they get to go back and look at the things that were reported on this other channel, but they get to be the speculation and the reaction to it. That's probably their best path forward.
That's what I would do, because I think they need to just split it and focus solely on both things 100%, because that's the only way they could do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like what we were talking about last week with Linux Mint trying to do too many things, trying to spin too many plates.
Yep.
At a certain point, you need to decide what you really want to do and do that thing way better.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we talked about this more than I expected. Next up in the news, we have, this is a very uplifting and nice story to go in right after this. Let me do the presentation mode. Valve is selling certified refurbished Steam Decks.
Okay.
The 512 gig Steam Deck is actually like $100 less in the 512 gigabyte normal. So they're pretty good deals. And it sounds like, certified refurbished. I've had good luck in the past. I've never bought a Valve product certified refurbished. But, when I used to work at Geek Squad, we would replace things as certified refurbished, and people would always, kind of be leery of it. But a lot of times we saw better like results from the refurbished things than we did from the original product.
That's interesting.
In some cases, there's actually better QA in the or QC in the refurbished than in the original. Because a lot of times the original is made by like a machine, and the refurbished has to be more hands-on because someone has to inspect it as they do it.
That's true. Yep.
And also, I trust Valve with something like this. And so the way this is going to work is you can buy a certified refurbished. The way their inventory is based on returns of broken Steam Decks. So, there's going to be times where maybe they're low on inventory and they can't sell a certain model or something like that. Hopefully, we don't want a whole bunch of people returning their Steam Decks, but it's going to be based on those returns. If something goes wrong with your Steam Deck and you have to have it replaced under warranty, it's going to be one of these refurbished that replaces it. And also, if you buy a refurbished and there's some or sort of issue with it, and then you return that, it'll be replaced with a refurbished. Because there was kind of a loophole there for a while where it's like you could buy a certified refurbished like Samsung tablet or something, and then intentionally damage it and then return it, and they would replace it with a new one in some cases. So they've gotten around that loophole. You'll get another certified refurbished.
They must get an exuberant amount of returns that are still good, fixable.
Yeah, that's true. For them to be able to do this. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So no, this is good. This is great. I mean, I've been on the fence to get a Steam Deck just because I don't want to spend the money on something that I potentially might not use. But I mean, $100 off, maybe we'll see.
It's true. It's true that you still, I mean, I just got mine back out and started trying to use it again just to try to get more use out of it, because as long as I've had mine, I've only used it a few times.
Yeah.
And it was mostly just to review it. I really haven't used it like practically, but I want to do some video content of playing games on the Steam Deck. And also a friend of mine who recently purchased a Steam Deck was asking me about getting a certain game working, and it made me think that I should make a video about that, because there's probably other people asking the same question.
That is one of the best things about the Steam Deck is, so your friend needs to know how to get this game working. You can literally go put it on your system, get it working, and say, this is exactly what you have to do. And they just do exactly that thing, and it works. It's not like, oh, I'm on Fedora and you're on Mint. And, I did this and this worked. Well, that didn't work for me. It's not like that anymore.
Unless that is
really nice.
The Nabarro Steam Deck project or whatever.
Well, don't do that. Or we'll do it, but don't do it before you help your friend.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next up, ProtonDB has now added a tab for desktop and a tab for Steam Deck.
That is so nice, because I don't know how many times I've had to filter through all of the Steam Deck ones. And I mean, sometimes they do help, but
yeah.
It's nice to have a specific PC one.
I recognize now, after going to the site and looking at it, I didn't really recognize what the benefit of this was going to be, because like you, I have gone to ProtonDB and then I've seen that like, oh, this person did this on their Steam Deck. And in most cases, I'm installing something that is similar enough that it'll still work on my desktop.
Yeah.
But I can see after flipping through this, so like I just picked Payday 2 as the first game that shows up if you go to Explore. And if I switch between Steam Deck and PC, I can just at a glance tell that the results are very different.
Yeah, right.
For one thing, let's say you're using an NVIDIA graphics card, then you're not going to care about the same flags that someone that is on a Steam Deck is going to care about.
Nope, not at all.
And there's an example of that here on this Payday 2. It looks like you want to enable all of these extra flags that you're not going to care about on the Steam Deck. So yeah, this is a good change.
It's funny because this game says it's native, and people are still posting helps to get it working.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even see that. Oh, or does that mean it's as good as native?
Maybe. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I thought native
gold.
meant.
No, you're right. You're right. Because gold is like the highest.
Yeah, look. There's
like
less. There's less.
Auto.
There's less like helps, like actual flags for this one than there was for that.
Dude,
one.
that's crazy. You're right. We just. There's no shade on Payday 2. I just picked that at random, but
yeah, no. It's just funny because it's a native game, and it's like I've had that experience. Ever since Proton has come out, that these native games just aren't nearly as good as some of the Proton games. Proton compatible version over the native version because it is better, and it just works. It doesn't have any
this
problem.
is Counter-Strike Global Offensive here. This is 100% native to Linux, and there's still like a ton of flags. Although I could see Counter-Strike has like a user base of like just absolute modders, so they're probably
here's how to cheese the game.
Here's how to get the wall hacks working in in Proton. Discord IO had a data breach. This is a scary topic.
Yeah, I don't think we never used that. I haven't heard of it. Yeah, so we don't got to worry
I don't think
about
so.
that.
I don't know enough about Discord bots and all that kind of thing to actually like use this, but this Discord IO is a third-party app used for Discord. Users' information was leaked. They have a list here of non-sensitive information, things like your internal user ID, information about your avatar, your status, your coin balance, your API key, but they note that the API key does not give access to your account. They also have a list of potentially sensitive information that was stolen: your username, your Discord ID, your real Discord ID, your email address, your billing address, and a salted and hashed version of your password. So they didn't get in plain text passwords, but they did get hashed passwords. So
I think the company actually went under because of this.
Yeah. So if you go to Discord.io now, you're greeted with this. This is the page. It says an important update on Discord.io. We are stopping all operations for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's crazy.
On the night of the 14th of August, Discord.io suffered major data breach resulting in content from our database being leaked to unknown actors. We were made aware of the breach later on in the day, and after confirming the content of the breach, we decided to shut down all services and operations.
That's crazy. Like, wow.
Yeah,
they're just hardcore. Like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Anyone who's used it, just FYI, your data probably was, given out.
Yeah. Home Labs. Everything you ever wanted to know about them, but was afraid to ask. So my Home Lab saga, I've been talking about on the show how I wanted to build a Proxmox system so that I could build a VM with GPU pass-through using my old NVIDIA 1060 and use it for video editing, because I'm always screwing up this desktop and then having to wait until I fix it again to use video editing. Plus, I'll let you in on another secret. I have an Adobe subscription, and I want to edit the video using Adobe suite of software. I
mean, you can't use Linux for that, unfortunately.
Exactly. I tried once to run a virtual machine and then run Adobe Premiere and virtual machine and give it GPU pass through and all this stuff. Oh, it was terrible. It was
That's what I kind of thought.
Yeah, it was unusable. So that I want to build a VM on Proxmox, install my Adobe suite on it, and only use it for. I only use Premiere Pro. And there's great video editing on Linux. You don't necessarily have to, but this is just something I'm already paying for, and they lock you in for 6 months or a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I get you there.
Even if I wanted to cancel it, I gotta wait till the end of my subscription. And there are some features. While I love Kden Live, there's DaVinci Resolve. There's a bunch of different ones that you can use on Linux. There's still just features in Premiere that I want to use. Don't necessarily need to, but things that I want to use. And so my plan was I built a Proxmox setup. I destroy this Windows installation that I have on my desktop right now.
Destroy.
Yeah, right now I'm dual booting. I quit dual booting. I quit dual booting on my desktop, and I only run Linux on my desktop. I use it for gaming and all of my normal, even like artistic endeavors I prefer to do on Linux. It is literally just video editing that I'm still kind of hung up on Windows installation on. And so I'm going to make a VM with video pass through just for that. And the argument has always been, well, I have a whole nother computer sitting over here. Why install Proxmox on it? Why don't just install Windows on it and then just use that for video editing? And we keep saying, well, it's because then we wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't feel as nerdy and as fun to, we want to build a virtual environment. This is what we want to do. Right. Another reason is it would be nice to only have one desktop set up, without having to KVM and switch between the two. I could just launch in a Windows and do my video editing and then kill that window, and I never had to leave this PC. I think that's a cool enough feature that's I want to do it this way. Yep.
It's definitely worth it once you get it working and everything.
Yeah. So the real question is, on my VM, do I build a Hackintosh, or do I just use my Windows key and install Windows?
That's a good question, because Hackintosh pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. It may. I don't know how Hackintoshes work. I watched a few videos about installing a Hackintosh on just a normal desktop, no virtualization involved, and people were saying that the preferred method is to virtualize it in something like Proxmox.
Yeah.
You actually get better performance doing it that way than installing it bare metal.
Interesting.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that performance was better, but they were saying that's the
Better
preferred
results.
installation method. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
I don't know. It is very interesting. I think I'd still have to buy a copy of Mac OS, whatever.
I don't even know if you can now.
Oh,
Can
really?
you just buy a copy? I think you have to have like a Mac now to actually do all this.
Oh. So I am, after all, I'm going to have to buy a MacBook Pro.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, I'm kidding. I'll research that. I think you might.
You used to
right.
be able to. I know
Yeah.
because I did buy several
When I worked at Best
operating
Buy,
systems.
yeah.
Yep. But I don't know.
Huh.
I could be wrong.
That's interesting. But let me tell you how far I got. So I installed Proxmox last night, and it went so smoothly.
The install is really nice on Proxmox.
It was easier than installing Fedora. You know what I mean? Like it was so It was so smooth. I installed it, got it on my network, gave it a local name. It's not running right now. I'll tell you why in a minute. It was already ready to run headless. I just, once you install it and restart it, it comes up to a screen that gives you the IP address. You go to another computer on the same network and just go to that IP address, and then boom, you got your console. So I thought I was going to have to set all that up, but it's just part of the installation. I used all default settings. I mean, I basically set my time zone, and I said what I wanted to name the thing, and that's about it. It was after that, it was all set up, and the interface. I love the interface.
Yeah, the interface is really nice, especially when you start getting VMs set up. Like the data that you get out of that, it's so nice.
So what I did was, and I should credit this guy. Let's see if I can find. I should have got this before. I got it right here. So I'll link it in the show notes, but there's a Proxmox helper scripts, and he has a GitHub page. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably, this is my first experience with Proxmox, so I might be talking like, veteran Proxmox users are like, oh yeah, that's Jeff's website. We all know Jeff.
Jeff.
So I went to this website, and they have a Proxmox VE tools, and in that drop down, there's a Proxmox VE post install script. And if you run this one line of code from this website that you don't know the owner,
totally safe.
Yeah. In addition to giving this guy all your Bitcoin, it goes through and does like all of these, like, just options that like,
little tweaks.
Little tweaks that almost everybody does. And it's just sort of the community, like everybody kind of agrees that these are the correct tweaks to do. It sets you to a test repo, a non-subscription repo. It even turns off the the subscription nag. So whenever you first install Proxmox,
that's nice.
Yeah, it'll pop up and keep nagging you to purchase a professional.
That's a pain
license.
to get rid of if you want to do it manually. I never do because it's such a pain.
This script will do it, man. You just run this script and you just keep hitting yes. And
I don't think I can do that though.
Dude, if you're giving this guy all your Bitcoin, he deserves it because
he deserves it
because it works. It's still all the Bitcoin you want, Jeff. So I'll link that in the show notes. But I did that, and then my server cut off. And
oh no. What happened? What did he do? What did Jeff do?
I thought Jeff did something. Yeah. So I turn it back on, boots back up. I also used the Proxmox helper scripts to install a different theme, and then I changed the theme, and it cut off again. And I said, "What the heck is going on over here?" I'm brand new to this. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't know.
No, it definitely shouldn't happen.
Yeah. So it turns out my CPU fans are not working. And so I built this machine, and it'll run long enough for the CPU to get to its like its cutoff
TJ Maxx, and then that's it.
And it cuts off. Man. And because Proxmox doesn't take a whole lot to run, it actually stays on for a little while before it'll cut off.
Yeah.
And it's got a liquid cooler because it's my old liquid cooler. And it's a closed system, so I don't have to worry about it, refilling it or anything like that. It's pumping the fluid, but the fans are not working.
Right.
So eventually,
it can only dissipate so much heat without the fans.
So I got to figure out and they're new fans. So either I ordered new fans and they just came in duds, or there's something hooked up wrong in the case. So anyway, now I need to set up GPU pass through whenever I build a VM.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I did was set up my storage array. I say array, I only got one drive, but eventually it will be an array.
Okay.
Before I tell you what I chose, I wanted to ask you LVM versus ZFS. Just
which one? You're right off the cuff. You want me to say ZFS 100%?
I knew you were going to say that.
I will use LVM in certain scenarios, especially like if you need on your boot drive to encrypt it. Fine, but like if it's storage disks, it's ZFS all the way, because you can't not trust it. It's so good.
So what are the features that you use in ZFS versus LVM? Because I am more familiar with LVM because that's what we used to use in the environment that I used to work in. And so I chose LVM. And because it felt the most familiar to me.
I mean, I get that. I understand the familiarity situation.
Yeah. But I did some research, and I put a link in the show notes that goes into more detail than I'm sure we're going to talk about, but I'll put it in the show notes if you want to check it out. The gist of the research that I did was that LVM is faster, but usually by some margin. Like, it's probably not, night and day noticeable, but it is faster. And I believe it's easier to manage because I just am familiar with it.
Okay.
But it doesn't have the features that ZFS has, like deduplication, backups. Like ZFS has all sorts of features because it is a file system instead of just a volume manager. But I don't think I'll use any of those features.
Okay.
But I've never had a Proxmox server before, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, yeah. The thing is like you have to have a pretty robust setup and maybe even multiple systems to really get all the features out of ZFS. But like,
I think if my primary purpose was storage, like I was backing up a bunch of movies and stuff like that, then maybe I'd have a different opinion. But like my primary purpose for this is going to be to build VMs to use, to build VMs that can kind of be like local web services that I can use. But I don't have like a big cache of movies and things, TV shows and stuff like that. I do
agree with you there. Yeah. I mean, if you're more familiar with LVM, it's not going to hurt to use that for that kind of a situation. But if you wanted to store the videos that we are making, I would say ZFS, because that's going to be way more trustworthy.
I could see keeping family photos, like there, people out there, but that's not that big. I don't see why people need so much storage for stuff like that.
No, that doesn't take up a whole lot of storage. Now, like videos, family video and stuff like that. That does take quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially now 4K cameras and all that crap. It's a lot.
And honestly, my family doesn't do enough of that. We take a lot of photos, but not a lot of videos. And we probably should do more. But anyway, so I thought it was an interesting conversation that we should have, even though I had already made my choice and I'm sticking with it. But if you were out there listening to this and considering making a Proxmox, I think that's probably the dividing thing, is whether you're looking for performance because you're spinning up VMs and using them versus am I spinning up, some sort of NAS, service, and I'm gonna want to deduplicate files and that sort of thing. Then you're probably going to be interested in ZFS.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next thing I got to figure out is I haven't built a VM yet. The very next thing I got to figure out is the fan thing. But then after the fans, I need to build a VM. I want to build a VM of Linux distro, of a Windows distro. I may actually make a Hackintosh. I'll see how difficult it is.
I'd be so interested to hear that one.
And I want to make these as templates, and that way I can use them to build future VMs.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yep.
And in my previous job, I did Ansible automation for deploying SimpliVity VMs and configuration after deployment and all that kind of stuff. So I think I want to build an Ansible VM and keep that as a nice little option, that if I need to make changes to one, I can uniform.
That's a good idea.
And then I got to figure out video pass through. I got to figure out the GPU pass through.
That's not a really hard thing anymore. It used to be kind of a crazy pain in the neck, but now it's not too hard. Maybe I'll be able to find the video or the links that I use to do it, but
okay.
I'll have to get that to you.
If you do that, can you use video pass through? Do you have to say, okay, this VM is allowed to use this graphics card for pass through, or can like two VMs share it?
No, it's you dedicate it to a VM.
That makes sense to me. I just was wondering.
That's what the pass through part is. It literally passes it through as if you're literally plugging that graphics card into that VM physically.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you could have it if you turned one off and turned another on, right?
Yeah, I think you could do that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But as soon as you tried to turn the second one on, it would probably either just break both of them or just not turn on.
Oh yeah. It probably wouldn't let you turn it on. I would think that they would be smart enough to know that this device is not available.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what would happen.
So, because here's what I'm thinking is I want a Windows installation just so I can use Adobe Premiere. But then if we had an Arch installation or a Linux installation that was identical to my desktop, only using an NVIDIA graphics card versus an ARC A770, that way we could test both in virtualization. And, the Windows, I'll only need to spin up, in either case, I'll only need to spin those machines up to do those tests and those tasks.
Right.
I won't need it all the time. So that could be possible also. I think this is going to open a lot of opportunities for testing for the show.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be good. Yeah.
We're going to start our own test lab, and we're going to be the authority of comparing different Linux distros, and we're always going to get it right.
And we'll post 30 videos a week.
Yeah, we're going to amp this up to 30 videos a week. We're going from 1 video a month to 30 a week. Anyway, that's where I'm at on my home lab setup. In just a few hours, I've already kind of learned a lot, and I can already tell. Yeah. Already tell like I'm bitten by the bug. I'm going to start researching Home Assistant.
Proxmox is really nice. Like you can do so much with it.
Well, tell me about your setup and what you've got going on.
Well, so my setup is kind of in limbo at the moment with Proxmox.
Okay.
So I installed. Okay, let me start this. It's a small Dell like little mini like PC. So it's got like a 256 gig hard drive in it. That's it. I don't have a second hard drive. I can put one in, but I haven't yet. And I installed Proxmox 8, the newest version on that. And for some reason, it would be up for like maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours, and then it would just lose connection and I couldn't get it back and I'd have to actually shut it off and turn it back on. Well, I plugged it into my monitor and I was looking at the logs and stuff, and it was this ACPI error that kept happening, and I'm like, oh crap, what is this? So I'm thinking it maybe it was getting some sort of like BIOS error or whatever. So I reflashed the BIOS and all this stuff, and it just kept happening. So I backed up. Well, I thought I backed up my VMs.
Oh no!
To a separate drive. I plugged in a USB drive. Like a USB 2.5 inch hard drive. I thought I backed them up to that hard drive, and I did not wipe, which I'm glad I did not. I did not wipe that drive, but I switched out the drives with another drive, installed Proxmox 7 because I wanted to see if it was an 8 issue, because I had 7 installed before with no issues. And that was a while ago now. And so I installed that, and when I plugged my drive in and tried to restore the VMs, there was nothing there. My folders or directories were there, but there was nothing inside of them. So, but luckily I still have the original disk that does have the backups on it, so I just have to swap them out and actually get them onto the drive.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, so it's kind of in limbo right now. But prior to that, when I did have it working,
Yeah.
I had 3 VMs on there. One was my Unify controller, which is a whole mess of disaster to try to get going. I mean, there are like 50 videos about it, and 49 of them are wrong.
Oh my gosh. That's another thing I'm kind of interested in. I don't know if it'll work with my I have an Ubiquity router, but it's not one of the Unify ones.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think it has to be a Unify specific router.
So as part of this home lab setup, I had to buy a switch for upstairs, and I just bought the cheapest switch I could get. It's an unmanaged switch. But eventually I want to buy one similar to yours. I don't think I need as many ports as you do, but I
have 24. I don't need that either, but
yeah.
Why not? No, I actually I was sent that by a friend of mine. Listens to the podcast.
I need friends like yours, man. Oh my gosh.
Dude, I thank him. I thank him tremendously for the things that he's done for me, and we actually spent the whole day setting Unify up. Me and him, we were both doing it at the same time.
Oh yeah,
and it was a tremendous help. And yeah, so anyway, I got the Unify controller up, and that was fine. I had all my stuff set up. I got my VLAN set up, and that has to do with pfSense and all that. I had to set up pfSense. So then I had 2 other VMs. One was a RHEL VM that was basically going to be my container, like they do Podman. And I had Cockpit. Okay, so RHEL with Cockpit pre-installed, like they have it. You can just click a button and it installs it for you. That does everything you could possibly need for a web front end for a VM. Yeah. It's pretty freaking nice.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen an old version of it, but yeah.
Yeah, like if you try to install Cockpit on Ubuntu, you have to do a ton of setup just to get it working. But RHEL has it like perfect. It's beautiful. And okay, so I have that on my Proxmox. Then I have 2 other desktop server whatever, systems that run TrueNAS Scale, which is like, so TrueNAS is like FreeNAS, but it's the Linux version.
Okay, yeah,
that's what the scale is. I don't know. They just named it that. So I have 2 of those. They run ZFS through and through. So my TrueNAS Scale servers are all based on Austin Powers. So all my setup is, so like my one server is called number 2, which is, number 2. Then the other one is Scott Evil, which is his son, the Dr. Evil son.
Okay.
My desktop is Dr. Evil.
I don't have a clever naming thing like this. Oh my gosh.
I forgot. My Proxmox server is called Shark.
Oh man.
And the domain for it is shark.frickin.laserbeam.
Oh my gosh. I need to come up with something clever. I called mine like Prox1.
Well, I used to do all that stuff, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to snazz it up a little bit.
Oh my gosh. I got to come up with something. Something that's Star Trek related or something.
So my TrueNAS Scale server, that's number 2. That one is my Plex container. I pretty much run all my Plex stuff through that. I have 12 terabytes of storage. That's
another thing that is like trackball mice. People that are into Plex are like so into Plex. My brother-in-law, that's like all he talks about is his Plex. I'll be like I'm serious. Like I see the guy like 3 times a year, and
all it is Plex.
And I'm like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing these days? And he's like, oh man, I got my Plex server doing this. That, dude, the guy is not a computer guy. He's just so into that. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's really nice. Like I have a huge movie collection. My in-laws had a movie collection that I all digitized and everything. And I just love having it all at my fingertips, basically,
That's crazy.
So, and TrueNAS Scale makes it so easy. You just install the container and you can have your Plex config and your movies and whatever all in different directories, so that you don't ever need to worry about losing those things, and you can back them all up separately. And it's really nice how they have it set up. So then I have my other server, which is Scott Evil, and that one has my Valheim server and my Mindtest server. Mindtest is basically the free version of Minecraft. Yeah, I don't have it port forwarded right now, so you can't actually get to it, but I have to deal with that later.
That's another thing that I want to research and learn how to do is set up some sort of port forwarding or public domain or something like that.
I'm very cautious when I do that, and I only have certain things. And the reason why I do it with Valheim is because it's the easiest way to do it, and it's really the only kind of way you can do it on scale, on TrueNAS scale. So I kind of just have to do it that way. But it's in a container for one, and two, it's just my Valheim server. So I mean, worst comes to worst, it's not going to be a big deal. Tailscale, which is my VPN that I use to get into my network if I'm out and about to securely get in. That's the alternative to the port forwarding.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to set up is Tailscale.
And pfSense has a native Tailscale client that you can just plug in your not IP, the API for Tailscale, and it just works.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with my setup. I just need to get I need to get Proxmox working again. And so far it's been running. It's been running for because I just have Proxmox running. I don't have any VMs on it at this point or anything. Mm-hmm. And it's been running for over 24 hours now, and it's still running. So that's good. That before it would go like 5 hours and be done.
Huh. I haven't had mine on long enough to test that. That would be
you have a different problem.
Yeah. Once I get the fan working, I'll make sure it stays on longer than 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah. You know, I can get to it right now and I'm good. So I'm happy with that so far.
Eventually I want to be running some things that I will use like on the home network frequently, but right now I really will only need to turn it on whenever I'm video editing, but eventually I do want to have services running where I will need to leave it on all the time.
I do struggle with trying to I want to run more things, and I struggle with finding things that are worth running, you know?
Yeah. We didn't talk about the specs. I definitely won't have this is my old PC just from 6 or 7 months ago. So it has 32 gigs of RAM. It's a AM4 processor. It is now it's got the NVIDIA. It's way overkill for running Proxmox and for what most people are running like a cluster of Raspberry Pis. I basically have a setup that's way overkill because my intention is video editing. But whenever I'm not running video editing, all those resources I can use to run whatever services I want to, and I don't really have to worry about them.
In that system, you're going to have a hard time taxing unless you're doing like Plex transcoding or something like that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it'll be. Maybe I will get into Plex. I don't know. I watch YouTube. I legitimately only watch YouTube. I don't watch hardly any TV shows or anything. You
have to be into Plex to actually be into Plex.
You gotta be a Plex person. You gotta be a Plex.
You do. You really do. It's not just something you can do on off the cuff, Yeah. I'm just gonna have a Plex server this week.
I'm really interested in Home Assistant stuff.
That's another thing I got to get going, and I have not got that up yet. I literally have my light bulbs sitting right here, not set up yet. We've been here for a year. I haven't set them up because I'm just too lazy to do it.
Yeah, I think that'll be the thing that I get way into, because what I don't like about I like Home Assistant stuff, but what I don't like about it is that you have to have if I buy this type of app, or if I buy this light bulb, I got to use their app, and then if I buy this other, I got to use that, and all this kind of stuff.
What I did to get around that is, I'm not promoting anything, but cloudfree.shop.
Okay.
If you go there, I bought these light bulbs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And they're flashed with, it's called Tasmota.
I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yes. And I can SSH into this light bulb if I plug it in.
This is what I need to do. I need to work on this. So I feel like that is going to be the area that I dive completely into. It was during we're rounding out the end of the show. Thank you for listening, people. But
it was a long episode.
So it was between episodes, so I didn't talk about it on the show. But there was like a short window of time where I got into Arduino, and there's Arduino Cloud, where you can build cloud dashboards and things for internet connected Arduino devices. And I made a temperature monitor for my hot tub. And I did it because I had a gas, like a propane powered hot water heater, because my electric bill was getting too high. So I never got it working. I had to manually turn on the propane, mostly because I was scared to have that happen automatically.
Yeah, that's not something you want.
But my plan was I could just have this Arduino check the temperature, and when it dropped below a certain temperature, to turn the gas powered heater on instead of the electric heater kicking on. Because I have solar. I have solar, and I'm like, the solar's being wasted if it's just being used to heat up the hot tub. Well, we got rid of the hot tub, so I never talked about it on the show. But anyway, so lots of I can foresee this whole thing being a whole new tapped market for show content. So hopefully
I'm kind of excited because I love home lab stuff like that. I could do a whole podcast just on home lab stuff.
We needed something new. And obviously I'm still going to talk about planting carrots and killing demons.
Yep.
And,
I just got to game more. That's my thing. I just don't have the time as much anymore.
Dude, that's, you know what the true curse of being a Linux gamer is? You actually never get to play games.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. Even with Proton, it's still worse than...
Yeah, you do a lot of installing of games. You don't do a lot of playing of games. All right, thanks for listening, people. I'm so glad we got to do an episode just a week apart. So we'll see.
This is great.
See if we keep the streak going. We'll see you again next week, and peace.
See ya.